But if you connect a helium cylinder to the back of it, it does inert atmosphere stuff. So basically, you can do what they call helium purge sampling, which at the moment you can only do in labs, but this will do it.
It's a crazy bit of kit that is. So I'm sorry, about £86,000. And it's the only one in the UK.
This is the only one now.
Wow. And that'll tell you exactly what's in it.
It's the only one when I bought it. I mean, I'd say literally I had to get it in. So.
So what are you going to do now? You're going to test put the CBD in there.
Yeah.
And you'll get a reading.
Have to look this in a second.
You said the hands up support.
Huh?
You said hands up support.
Oh, you should have mentioned it. What you got.
Oh, all the phones are dead and the only phones that are in.
Yeah, you don't reset, but everything's in factory set. It's just that you delete the whole software after.
I'm just going to calibrate
So you
it.
get
It's been in the car.
Plug in the computer to update the new software.
So this is X-ray fluorescence. So that's how it works. So it's non-radiation ionising.
Okay.
I did something on the phone. I didn't even touch that.
No.
No.
So it's actually analysing the substance now then, yeah?
No. I'm just doing
It's
I'm just
calibrating.
calibrating
I think
it.
it's safe. It's not extra base, is it? I'm sure it's a base reboot.
Yeah. So basically, if you're talking about, just put some.
I'm sure I redo the base. That's all I did.
I've got loads of samples, but I mean, for example, that's 2 different imported turmerics
Okay.
into the UK, and obviously you can analyse the difference. So what you could do with this, from a retail point of view, let's say you were going to be importing product, be it oil or anything else, we can set it up with parameters, so you can have a pass-fail.
Yeah.
So literally, I could then audit your stock as it comes in. Things like your plastic materials that you're getting, like your baskets and stuff.
Yeah.
We take a plastic scraping off it, and I can run full Roche and Koch on this, so I've got it all set up for plastics.
Okay.
So then I can tell you whether the plastics are actually EU approved. So even though they've got a CE mark on,
You can
they might actually have something in them that you really don't want going into your plants.
Okay.
Your fertilisers,
Yeah.
all that can be tested.
So you can put any raw plant product in there and it tells you anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you put flowers in there, leaves in there, and it'll give you an analysis of what's in it.
I mean, ideally, you want to do sort of a lab version where you do a grinding of it and you do a dry version, so you get to know your parameters of it. Because what you end up with is what you call the nugget effect. So let's say you were doing a bud, and then you've got high terpene crystal, and that gets part of the X-ray. It will throw the results because obviously it's looking at that as opposed to looking at whole plant. But if you listen, this one, there's an optional extra where you can basically have a rotator on it. So this is actually, so what it does, it scans the entire sample, so you don't get a nugget effect effectively. But it's just coming to the end of that now. I mean, this has just been doing fertilisers.
Okay.
So because they're now buying new organic fertilisers in, they want to make sure
what it's
they're exactly what they are.
Yeah.
That's your sample in there.
Okay, so that's the CBD sample going in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll run 2 tests on it.
Okay.
So we're going to run it under soils, and what you'll see come up on the screen here. So this will be the spectral data.
Okay.
So we'll run the first batch on that. We'll run it as 2 batches. So basically, it'll run it twice.
Okay.
And then you take an average. If I was doing this for you as something you're going to label and put on the shelf, I'd normally do an average of 10 readings. So I just let this automatically run.
Okay.
So it will sample
an average
10
out
times
of
and then
10,
it'll do an average.
Okay, that makes sense.
So what you'll see is you'll start to see all the spectral data come up.
Okay.
And then these are your readings. So obviously there's your copper. So that's in parts per million. So it'll now actually start to analyse it. It doesn't need to rotate it all the time.
It's giving you like a graph as well.
Yeah. Yeah, but when you look at that on the computer, it's a much more detailed
Okay.
spectral graph.
So this is what's going on now. So look. How long does it take to do a run on this?
So it's 241 seconds is the run time to go through 3 different bands of frequency,
Okay.
and then it will run that twice. So if you've got LOD, that means it's below limit of detection. So you'll see the arsenic is below limit of detection. You'll see you've got uranium in there, which is normal background uraniums globally. So that's now switching filters. So that's done the first main elements.
Yeah.
So basically, it goes from it runs through like the periodic table.
Yeah.
So I'll go into the high range, and then the one after this I'll do is a rare earth test.
Right. Okay.
So what that'll do, that'll look at the yttrium, niobium, sort of all the ultralight compounds. So you see you've got your chromium reading down there, vanadium. Mercury is below limit of detection. Obviously, it's stuff like that you want to be looking for.
Okay.
Is there anything in there that's
It's
really
dangerous.
toxic?
Yeah, it's harmful. Yeah.
Let's say a couple of years ago, there's no way you could do this in the field
It's just
like this.
this is blowing my mind. It's just.
I mean, literally, you
It's
can be.
It's portable. It's just like you
Yeah.
can take it anywhere. Yeah.
Well, imagine if we were in the middle of a hydroponics facility now.
Yeah.
We could be taking, let's say you've done 3 different fertilizer tests. We could be taking leaf samples from 3 different rows under 3 different fertilizers and actually see the leaf data there and then. So now it's switched on to the highs.
Okay. But it's useful because if someone's sending you a product and they're saying it's X, Y, you know
Instantly,
you know.
Yeah. Especially the stuff that's coming from abroad.
Yeah,
That's what
you want to know the
wanna
CBD that you're getting in is proper CBD. It's not.
Also, if they're saying to you that they've done a particular extraction, let's say they're saying they've done a hexane extraction,
Yeah.
I can make sure that all the hexane's been removed, and that you're not getting petrochemical products in there that are then going to be digested by somebody. And if they're saying it's CO2 extracted,
Yeah.
and we're seeing traces of petrochemical, then we know it hasn't.
Okay.
So they're telling you it's CO2, but actually it's not CO2.
It's just crazy. You can just pick it up and it's portable and you can.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so what it does basically, it does that rotation at the beginning,
Yeah.
so that it gets a full sweep of the broad spectrum of it, and then it recalibrates itself to know if it's got any nugget sort of effect going on in
So
there.
what's he doing? Is he going through another process now? Is it?
Yeah, so what it'll do is it'll repeat all the way to 241 seconds, so it'll do each one twice.
Yeah. Okay.
So effectively it'll do a total of 4 readings.
If you want a more accurate, when you do more to get like an average, then is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so normally you're switching over between your bands at either 30 seconds or 60 seconds. But the more accurate is obviously just... Because what you're doing is how this works is it's actually energising and releasing a neutron. And that when that neutron escapes, it's the energy of release that it's measuring. So the more you activate it, the
Yeah.
more release you're going to get. This you could have probably got, the difference between doing a 10-second reading and a 60-second reading is it's all about the delta. So our accuracy is a delta of 1.
Yeah.
So what it's saying there, if you look at, for example, with the copper at the top,
Yeah.
so we've got 137.2 ppms
Yeah.
with an error factor of 2.1.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's now running batch 2. So it does the rotation first,
Yeah.
and then it'll start doing the readings. Yeah, so you're saying you got, so we know we were 137 just on the copper with a 1.3. If we stopped it now, your copper's 124 with an error reading of 5.6. So the longer it runs for, the more the accuracy comes down. Where it's got below limit of detection, so where it's saying LOD, when it's in the lab and I can actually analyse it on screen, there's actually obviously data there. It's just the parameters of the machine set up to say it's below our we're not worried about it below that particular level. But obviously, I know what the data is when I look at it on a screen, because this is just the interface. It's not, it's not giving me the data that I need. But it's certainly from the point of view of, is this okay to use?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'll just run through the whole thing again now. So you've got no selenium in there, you've got no cobalt in there, you've got no nickel, you've got no zinc in there. And so there's no mercury in there. Chromium's quite high, but I would expect it to have high chromium. I'd also expect possibly the potassium will be quite high, but we'll look when it's finished the analysis completely. I mean, literally, you imagine how many batch runs you've got coming through, how many product lines.
On the base unit, it's just
I come in here for a couple of hours. You've literally everything that's come out of that container or that batch. You know absolutely that you've got it. And also to print out the data and give it to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because nobody. Out of all the CBD oils I've checked so far, none of them have been the spec that they've said on the packet. Not one of them.
This is the problem. You see all these percentages and that. It's just most. I'd say 90%
You may as well just
of them
say
made them
hemp
up.
oil rather than saying it's a CBD oil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll pass you on to Josh quickly. He has to around you. Okay.
Yeah, you'll love these units at the farm. Absolute class for growing. Absolutely brilliant. But so I want to put 2 spirulina reactors in there as well.
Did you say you got a CBD license?
No, we've got an application in there. We've put 2 in. We've put an industrial hemp license in, which is like a £500 fee, and then we've put the effectively the closed cover license, which is £3,500 for the application. But all applications got to be in by April. But I'll send you an email and let you know which seed varieties we're getting in. They're all EU approved.
Okay.
So I'll send you the seed, because obviously we're not looking at genetically modified at the moment, because we're not looking at pharma. Because the pharmaceutical grade, at the end of the day, there's going to be they're going to be the multinational companies and all that, and it's going to be a tough fight. Whereas if you're going into the homeopathy sort of that market, where you're not actually saying, what you're doing is what everybody else is doing at the moment. You're saying, this is a CBD derived oil. So you're into the health and well-being market.
Yeah.
Much better market to be in.
Yeah, definitely.
Rather than spending tens of thousands on security and everything else, you don't need to. And as you know, we can take the concentration to whatever you want, and this is why this is quite interesting, because whilst they're creating a 99 pure, what's their cut rate on that? Because they must be getting through a shitload of product to get to that level.
I need some cedars on there.
Yeah. So
Interesting to see how strong this is.
Yeah, well, as I say, all I'm doing right now, I'll take the data back, but all I'm doing right now is just I want to have a look at what levels we've got. So I'll just look at the data. I'm going to run it. I'm going to run it again anyway, because we're going to run it on the. So. Let's just see. So, by the way, this also does the oxides. So what I've got is so if I'm looking at chromium oxide or potassium oxide or copper oxide, I've got those built into it as well. So what I'm doing now is I'm ranking it based on highest percentage. So chromium is your highest. So you've got 353 ppms of chromium with an error factor of 2.9. So you've got 2.9 ppm plus or minus of 353.
Pretty accurate then.
Yeah. You'll see when you get up to higher numbers, sometimes you'll get a higher number, other times you'll get. So if you're looking at, for example, if we're looking at scandium, you know, we've got 3.6 ppm with an error of 0.7. No, I mean this is pretty clean. I mean, if you look at arsenic's below level of detection, selenium's below level of detection, magnesium's below, cobalt's below, so all these are below level of detection. So the next run I'm going to do now, leave the sampling now, I'm going to do the ultralights, so that'll get into your rare earths, which is really where the key is now into understanding how this stuff helps us. It's all about, I was saying the other day, it's all about the intermetallics. So I've got 2 readings on that. As I say, I'll actually do this as a summary page, but there's absolutely nothing in there that I'd be concerned about at all. What I need to do is cross-reference it with, because this is the first time that obviously we've done this, we don't know a baseline to set to.
Yeah.
So what we're looking for at the moment, is there anything in there that's potentially going to be an issue? And there's not. Yeah, I'd have expected the potassium to be higher, but maybe that was just my own sort of interpretation. Do you know, was this, how have they done the extraction?
CO2.
So it's supercritical, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably not, because what they're doing, the problem with CO2, because of the negative temperature, you're actually stripping a lot out. So a lot of the volatiles are already stripped out. So things like your potassiums have gone, whereas with phytonics they'll all be there. So it'll be a lot more holistically. But because this is 99, you're stripping it all out just to get. The other thing is we don't know which CBD we've got here. You know, we don't know its sort of, you know, genome of it, but so.
Is that I've got the shop phone basically on my phone tonight.
Yeah.
It's £60 an hour. Fix it. If they can do it in a few hours.
Well, you have to pay, don't you? We cannot have a shop phone back. You lose more money than that.
So I'm running this now on effectively on. So it'll run all of the elements again.
Yeah.
And it's also going to run the rare earth and the ultralight metals.
You okay, Sally?
So you'll see we've got yttrium coming in there. I expect to see yttrium in it. So that's the Y. So and we've got rubidium in there. We've got galenium in there at the moment, but we'll see where it settles down. Most of these will change once it hits the lights, because the main low and high we've already looked at those. It's that last band that we're looking for on this particular run. So it's the lights I'm looking for really.
We can only save X amount of money, but it should be soon. Our shop phones and phones.
So just let that run.
So we've got to set up all our phones to the mobile for now.
So you can get the data, go at home and analyse it further.
Yeah, there's software that I run that actually does this as a full spectral data.
Yeah. So how long does this take? Does this take? Like,
Yeah, so I'll do exactly the same.
Again.
Yeah. What you can't do is because you're energising it, what you can't do is just run lights on their own. You have to go through the whole process again and just run the lights.
I'll get it sorted today and I'll send you a confirmation copy it of the payment.
It's definitely interesting stuff to see it all come out where you can.
Yeah, it is.
Well, the other thing is it's non-destructive.
Thank
So it's not like I'm taking product away. I can do it all here.
Mm-hmm.